Hello and welcome to another Retro Crazy. This is part 2 of my Matra Alice 90 video series, and I'm kind of wanting to refer to it as the Matra Alice 90 Cursed video series, because basically everything that can go wrong has gone wrong in part 1. Unfortunately, I had so many issues around the recording that, well, you would have seen in the first one if you've watched it, that the audio went mad and I lost it, and everything just went wrong. And when I went to power up and test, there was nothing on the screen. I don't know if it's the OSSC, I don't know if it was this not outputting video. There were so many possibilities. The telly wouldn't show a signal on RF with any system. So yeah, there's something not great going on. One thing I did note was the 7805 down here getting very hot, and it was very, very loose. So before I could even decide to replace the 7805, it decided it wanted replaced. It's old, it was getting stupidly hot to the point that it was burning within seconds. So yeah, that's dead, it's gone. So I'm going to replace it with a brand new 7805. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So that's a brand new 7805 installed. Next is to power it up and see what the voltages are. I'm now getting 14 volts in there, and it's outputting 5 volts. This is off the circuit board underneath, so there's no shorts happening, but it's acting as a little bit of a heat sink. And now it's warm, or slowly getting warm, but there's no burning like we had previously. Yep, getting up to normal temperature, but nothing serious. So let's power off, because I'm now going to have to start testing around the board. So now I'm set up, I'm using one of the probes that I made, just clipped onto the negative and then straight into the meter, and I'll be probing just with a single lead. So if I power on, again, we should be able to confirm the voltage here, 4.97. Hopefully that's clear enough. And now I can just check and see what's going on around the chips. Now, I haven't looked up any of the chips. I'm just looking at pin 1. And I can see there's certainly voltage across there. Now that may not be the right pin for that chip, but I can see voltage across the board in various places. Now these chips may have a completely different location for the voltage in. There. That's a very odd voltage. But there it's in there. So we've got voltage across the board. One chip's a little bit low, everything else appears to have voltage. So we can do a preliminary test and actually see if we get a display. So here we are all set up. I've got power in. I've got the custom lead. It's a custom SCART cable that goes from the Alice to the TV do not use a standard SCART cable with a Matra Alice 90, and I've just temporarily bolted this heatsink onto the 7805 just to give it some dissipation. I should be on SCART, so let's see what happens when I power it on. So on at the wall, and here we go. Yes, excellent. We have a working Matra Alice. So let's get it back to the blue mat. Let me get the case cleaned and let's reassemble this. So now that we're back at the blue mat, let's look at reassembly. So the first thing I need to do is take off this heatsink that I added just for testing. Now I need to bring back the original heat shield. Now hopefully I've got the distancing right. However, I've got a sneaking suspicion I haven't. Oh, might have just squeezed that in. Next to fit is the keyboard, all nice and clean after a good key pull and wash. And it just sits on these pegs, one here and one here. Now, before I fit this, let me move it out the way and show you why you clean the keys. That disgusting mess came out from underneath the keys, and it includes somebody's nail, a dead bug, and various other things that I really don't want to mention. So we've got this cable to drop in, line it up with the connector and both hands. Good firm push into place, and then just relocate the keyboard where it should be. And there we have a nice little Alice 90 all done. Hopefully after the cleanup it's still working. And the keys, if you consider the time this came out, it's actually quite a nice feeling keyboard, if a little noisy. But can you spot the oddity in the room? It's an AZERTY keyboard, and yes, I know you may think that I've got these keys wrong way round. However, up, down, left and right matching, up, down, left and right. This is how I took it off. So, bit odd, but hey. So last thing to complete this is the cover. And there we go. From here, we've got one other thing I want to look at before we finish this particular video. So this is the original tape deck, and all the buttons seem to work. Obviously record won't work because nothing is pressing the... There we go. You've got to hit the record switch inside before the record will go in. However, this probably hasn't been run in a long time, and the chances are that the main belt has gone. So I'm going to strip this down because, as you can maybe tell, it needs a clean, and we'll see about replacing the drive belt. Now, worryingly, there are signs that the batteries are still in, and that could kill this. Certainly it may put it to the point where it won't run on batteries again, but you can see just how crusty that is, and that's not flexing. If that was flexing, I wouldn't have said the batteries were in, so this is not a good sign. So while the batteries aren't in, they have been in when they've corroded. You can see just how bluey green that is in there. The screw head's corroded. This side isn't too bad. This one needs a little work. If we can get these out, we should be able to recover these as well. So that's it now dismantled. I've got the main unit out. I've got the belt here which drives the counter. See if I can replace that. That's going to be very easy. And I have the main belt at the back here, which runs underneath the circuit board and round this flywheel. I need to disconnect this screw in here to get enough movement on this so I can unhook it. I may undo this screw so I can lift the board slightly and just slide that under. I can then see if I've got a belt big enough to fit this. As far as this is concerned, it would be nice to be able to take all of this off and give it a good wash. I'll maybe see if it'll go, but to be honest, I don't want to damage the mechanism, so I may just give it a cursory wash. I don't want to get this side wet. This side has the main spring in it for lifting the unit, and I don't want to break it because obviously this plastic may now be a bit brittle. As far as the base is concerned, again I can give all this a clean, but I need to see if I can get all these points out because these need to soak in some vinegar to start with to try and get the corrosion off. So let's see if I can pop these out first. So what I was able to do was on this one pry it up enough that I could then get pliers on and pull it out. With the rest I was able to get leverage in different points to get them to pop up. With that done, let's pop this to the side, because we'll look at those in a minute. So the tape counter belt is simple. It should just be a case of unhooking here, and then it should drop down and out. And apologies if you can hear any noise in the background. My neighbours are having some work done on their house, so nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. Now for the back, I'm going to undo these screws. So this is one of the reasons I want to replace this belt. It's been in a static position so long that it's naturally taken the shape of the pulley it was round. So if I do that, you may be able to see that it still retains that shape. So I've been through 2 packets of drive belts, and the closest I can get is this one. It is a little bit tighter. Hopefully it will do the job. If not, temporarily we can try this one again. So let's refit this back into place. So with those both replaced, let's look at cleaning up this mechanism. I'm now going to clean up the heads. Again, fresh cotton bud, some isopropyl alcohol. Nothing too bad, and it's come out fairly clean. And now the pinch roller. Now the pinch roller is where the worst of it should be. Let me lift off the fluff before I start. So now that's done, you can see, yeah, everything that's come off. I'm now going to use a little bit of white lithium grease just on some of the contact points to allow it to move a bit freer. Now that that's done, we're going to look at cleaning all this up. So I'm going to take these away, and when you see them next, they should be a little bit cleaner. Oh, missed a contact. Right, that's the final one out. I'm going to go and clean all these up. I'm going to have to do this without washing this section because I can't remove this. Well, I could cut it and then push it out, but I don't see the point. So I'm just going to clean up this section and this ribbon. So see you shortly. So now that everything's washed and is drying, how do I get rid of the corrosion off these? Well, while it looks like a nice glass of water, you don't want to drink vinegar. Literally take the parts that are corroded. I mean, you can see just how bad that is. Start dropping them in, and hopefully you could see, or you should see, that immediately it's starting to bubble. And that is the vinegar starting to eat into the corrosion. In fact, I'm going to do the head of that screw as well. Oh, yes, it likes the head of that screw. Okay, let's leave that running for a little while and we'll come back to it shortly. Okay, well they've been in for just over 5 minutes. And what's happening is the acid in the vinegar, well, vinegar is acidic, is reacting with the corrosion, which is normally caused by an alkali reaction from the batteries. So it's neutralizing the corrosion. However, if we were just to dry them off and leave them, we would now start eating the metal with acid, which is something we don't want to do, obviously, because we'd just be back at square one. So what we're going to do is just neutralize it with isopropyl alcohol. Making sure everything is got. And as you can see, pretty much all of the discoloration is gone. I can wipe the worst of it off, and what I should be left with are some fairly clean terminals. Yes, I've lost some of the plating, there may be some spots of corrosion, there's nothing I can do about that. That's through the finish now. However, they're no longer rotting away and are usable, which is nice, because when I first saw them I wasn't sure if I would be able to salvage them, but they're looking okay. And that particular screw is actually looking not bad at all. Okay, not as nice, for example, as a clean plated one, but still fully usable. So now that's all done, let's refit them. And now let's refit the main mechanism. Just going to use a little bit of deoxit. Hopefully this will get inside and down to the volume control. Well, we're all assembled, we're all connected up. We've got power, we've got the SCART, we've got the cassette. This is the moment I've been waiting for. Hopefully break this curse. Power on. We've got power, 3, 2, 1. And this is not good. SCART. And it looks like the curse continues. Okay, back to the blue mat. So we're back at the blue mat. I've already checked the output on the power supply. It's fine, so it's not the power supply that's the problem. It's something on the board. So next I'm going to go through and I'm going to switch on, and I'm just going to gently touch the top of each component and see if I can find where the issue is. I'm going to start down this side because this all leads down to the 7805. So we need to work out what's going on, and then we'll just work this way down and work round, see what's going on. (7805) it's cold, caps are fine. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think we found the problem. I think this is the bridge rectifier, and that's red hot. So I'll order a replacement up before we go any further. Hopefully that's all it is. So it's been a little time later. The seller of these, yeah, they didn't dispatch very quickly, so I've been stuck waiting on these turning up. These are silicon bridge rectifiers, and these are modern replacements for the one that I believe has gone, because that is getting absolutely red hot when it's powered up. So let's desolder this and replace. So with that done, replaced, let's check the voltages, see if we have anything. There we go, 4.97 volts, nice and stable. Okay, well, let's go back to rebuilding, see what we get. So we're rebuilt, we're back for testing. Do we actually get a picture this time? Power on. And still no display. Unfortunately, that could mean that with the bridge rectifier failing, it could have damaged a number of chips, which is unfortunate. Power's definitely on, but definitely no video display. Just making sure everything is plugged in. So unfortunately the curse of the Alice 90 and this video continues. And just as I go to switch everything off, it bursts into life. It looks like there's a bad connection on the power. So we actually have a display. Everything seems to work. So the Alice 90 wants to live. Let's get this volume down a little bit. And let's see if she will live. Well. So a new machine, trying to work out how to get it to work. Especially when you can't see a delete key. Okay, while we're doing this, we'll just, so it's not that, that's okay, so we'll just tell it to do an error, and let's see what happens. Well, I thought that was cassette load, apparently not. No, she's not a happy Alice. Something is not quite right. Reset that. Good old now we need to work out how to do the delete, otherwise this is going to be very annoying. It's just the keys, the arrow keys. And now we just need to work out how to get it to run. Well, that's definitely working. There's no problems there. Can we manually type this in? We can indeed. Excellent. So I'll need to work out what's going on with the tape, why it's not actually starting. It is set up with the tape control, so that should be functional. It could still be down to the tape deck, but that's not for this video. That's going to be a different video. So clean up the connector and maybe replace it on the power supply, and it looks like this is a win. The Matra Alice 90 lives again. Oh, this personally has been a challenge, but I'm glad that the Alice 90 is living again. I'm a bit happier about that. I just need to work out what's going on with the tape deck. It could be a tape deck issue, it could be the Alice issue, it could be a cable issue. Regardless, I'm classing this as a win, and I may come back and revisit the whole tape deck loading in a future video. Okay, slight update at the end. I had a revisit and I reread the manual because obviously it's in French, and I realised I'd read it wrong, and I had the ear and mic sockets back to front, but also it does say not to use the tape control for the Alice. So I unplugged that, and the S on screen means search, which then changes to F for found, and away it goes. So we now have Crocky loaded, and more importantly, there we go, we can play. Not very well, especially when I'm using keys that I'm not used to using. Whoa. But yeah, it works. So there we go, 100% result, superb. So happy to finally put the Alice 90 to bed. So this time properly. Thank you for watching. The Alice 90 says it best. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you on the next Retro Crazy.